Hello everybody, welcome to round 8 of the Limited Adhesion Radical Championship presented by Make Real Media. My name is Gareth and I'm joined as ever in the virtual commentary box by Jim. Jim, how are you doing this week?
Oh, very well. Hello Gareth, hello everybody, back in the States.
Yeah, tell us about this track.
If you like car parks, everybody, if you like Tesco or Asda or wherever, this is the track for you. We're at a very small oval, so you've got a few curly straights, which everybody likes. It's essentially, guess the breaking point as you go around what is, in effect, a car park. The only thing of note is the kind of double apex hairpin in the centre at turn 6 and turn 7 before you get back onto the oval into the standard hairpin, which we're getting used to now in these roval tracks. And it's very bumpy. The drivers could be slipping and sliding on their cold tyres initially.
Yeah, good points there. And track limits are definitely going to be an issue this week. With you can get told off for running wide before that hairpin in the middle of the track, and also on the run to the final hairpin. Plenty of warnings we've been seeing during practice for this race. Let's have a look at the championship standings then. Gavin Kelly and Mark Tranter, definitely the top two in the championship. Dave Lyon not too far away. And this is round 8 of 11, and it's your best 8 finishes that count. So after this race, we were going to get a very clear picture of the championship. And this is where it starts to get interesting, I guess.
Yeah, well, Tranter is, three on the spin now, so he first came in and Kelly and he had that great old ding-dong before he span in the late stages at another roval. But since then, he's been on a complete rampage with taking victory after victory. So you can see now in the best results so far that Tranter and Kelly are neck and neck. And Tranter's got the pressure on him slightly because Kelly can lose a few poor rounds because of being here from the start of the championship. Tranter, of course, joining in round 4, meaning that his 8 results are the 8 results he can do. They're the best ones he's got. But Lyon, shout out to Lyon, who's still nipping at the heels of these guys. He's had another podium last week. So the championship, it's got a top 2, but Lyon with an outside chance. If he gets a victory or 2 in these final rounds, it could be anybody's.
Yeah, he's pushing hard. I've been hearing he's doing a lot of practice at Phoenix this week. So, Jim, take us through the pole, lap and the grid.
No problem. Well, it's the pole lap first, and we're on board with Rob Miller with his first pole position since earlier in the season, in round 3. Now he's going into the first corner, which is a never-ending section of the left-handers before getting onto the car park. Rob hitting the apexes nicely. Easy on the throttle as he gets through this first section. Now it's full on, off again, and into the right-hand hairpin, down into first gear even, try and get some traction and grip out. Now he should be full throttle before he gets onto the final hairpin before we rejoin the oval. He's off throttle and braking. Again, not nervous, but maybe safe. His cold tyres on such a short track, it's impossible to heat them up really in this short amount of time for qualifying. He's managed not to spin so far, and he shouldn't be able to on this final section. He's now on the start-finish straight. And Rob Miller is our pole sitter with a 54.381.
So that lap from Rob then gets him first place on the grid. He's joined alongside with Mark Tranter, with David Lyon and Burnett on row 2. Paul Dixon is in 5th place with Hankin starting 6th. And in row 4 is Stephen Batty, joined alongside with Gary Jones. Gavin Kelly, The Ledge and Gareth Winslade all failed to set a time and start at the back.
Thanks, Jim. Let's go down to the grid now for the start of this race. Here we are on the grid then with Rob Miller in the lead on pole, Mark Tranter in 2nd and David Lyon in 3rd. Interesting to see what happens now with Gavin Kelly way down the grid. And they're away. That's a quick start from Mark there. Immediately pulling alongside Miller.
Trent had a great start there on the outside.
This is going to be tricky into this first T1 braking zone though. Oh, Rob
Miller almost lost it, yeah.
And Mark nearly swiped him into the bargain, but they're safely through T1 now.
Miller now getting line of attention from Lyon, who's actually fallen back, and Miller now on the attack.
Yeah. Oh, that was nearly contact into the hairpin there. So we've got Tranter leading from Miller, from Lyon, from Burnett, from Hankin.
Oh, there's somebody in the background.
Batty
gone
losing
out.
it
Is
in
that
the
Batty?
background, all the way to the back of the field. Look at that, Gavin Kelly up to P6 now with Winslade and P7 behind him.
Oh, Burnett's spun now as well.
Drops it in the final corner.
Cold tyres really struggling, eh?
It's a difficult track on cold tyres here. So here we are then. Tranter from Miller, from Lyon, Hankin, Kelly, Winslade, the Ledge up to P7, Gary Jones up to P8, Burnett down in 9th after that spin, Dixon in 10th, and Batty in 11th after his accident.
Oh,
There's the
and
Ledge
we've got
losing it.
winner.
P1. And Winslade as well. And they make contact. That's Winslade and Dixon making contact in T1. That's unfortunate for Dixon there.
Dixon slowed down to give him plenty of space. And now he's been compromised himself.
Yep, and Batty straight on the attack.
Oh,
And
Winslade
is again.
That's 3 cars abreast, but not how you'd expect. And
Yep,
Batty
onto
struggled
the dirt
back
as
on
well.
the track.
It's a very difficult corner, that. And that's Tony Hankin losing it out in the final corner. And Jones and Burnett going through, with Burnett attacking Jones onto the oval now. This is lap 3, so you'd expect the tyres to be getting up to temperature now. And early laps, it's difficult for this car to go flat down the oval. They need to have a little lift in the middle of it to stop understeering into the wall.
Well, so far it's been like a Japanese drifting race, hasn't it? Everybody spinning the rear tyres up and go around these corners facing the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a very difficult track for such a fast, high-power, low-weight car, such as the Radical. On board with Burnett now, chasing Gary Jones.
He's going right close there, isn't he? And now looking on the inside.
Forcing him wide. Great move there from Burnett. Jones saw him coming.
Jones very polite there. He gave him enough space to not get in an incident. And Jones running well in 6th at the moment. I've got Winslade looking up the inside of Batty. And a tight hairpin.
Oh,
Did they touch?
They touched. Batty gets a little nerve sideways. It's lost him traction onto the oval. Winslade's through there into 8th position.
Now is Winslade. Oh,
that's Dixon.
Is that Dixon going off as well?
Towards the hairpin. To the pit lane, I beg your pardon.
Oh, Batty's forgotten to take the corner.
Oh my goodness, where's he going?
He's on the oval.
Well held there on the grass.
Yeah, very well held.
Normally you'd expect the car sideways. And back to the leaders now. This is Tranter leading from Miller, but only by 0.8 of a second. This is a very close fight here.
And Miller's not giving up any quarter here. The whole race has been just on his tail. Lyon's falling back a little bit. And Gavin Kelly again giving him a lot of company for the 2nd race in a row.
Yeah, and we can see that Dixon's already been into the pits and rejoined back in 11th place, unfortunately. And we see Kelly is now in 4th place, chasing David Lyon. This could be a repeat of last week with those two. At Scuba, they had a great. Here we are, replay of the start. On board with Miller from pole position. We're going to see Tranter coming whizzing past us on the right-hand side. Here he comes.
As tight as you like, isn't it?
Look at this, such a tricky zone where you've got to carry so... Oh, look at...
Well held there, Miller.
Just losing it, yeah. Holds the spin, but loses the lead. Lap 1 replay. Looking at Burnett and Paul Dixon. Line up ahead of us.
So Dixon goes wide.
Dixon just drops it. Left. And a lap 2 replay. Dixon and Batty again. And Winslade... so...
The Batty somehow followed Winslade into the area in a way there.
Yeah. And then the Ledge
gets mixed up in it as well.
Joining in for good measure.
Didn't want to be feeling left out, did he?
No. It's a tricky combination of corners there where you have to brake and drop down a gear through the left to get ready for the right-hand hairpin immediately after it. They're carrying so much speed at the end of that straight previous to it in 4th or 5th gear.
It seems like a circuit of 2 halves, isn't it? You've got this infield section which just looks tight and twisty and dirty almost for the spins we've had, and then you're on this oval, and Well, we've got Kelly now getting the slipstream from Lyon. Do you get much of a slipstream around this oval? Is it going to be a big advantage?
I think the oval's too short. The whole oval track is only a mile or mile and a half, so it's not very long.
And barely
We
getting up
can
to,
see
up
he's
to top
definitely
speed,
closing
are
in.
we? Having a look on the inside of the first corner.
Now, there's definitely two lines through that early part of the turn one section. You can run wide like Dave did to open up the attack to the cone of the apex, or like Gavin, you can carry a much tighter line, but maybe slightly compromise yourself when you get to the apex.
Oh, speaking of
Pushing
tight
hard.
lines, wow.
That was an aggressive move, but he got the job done. It's like
Lyon
a
might
touring
want to
car
get,
there.
yeah, Lyon might want to get immediately back now to try and keep tabs on him. It's switched around now, so Lyon getting any slipstream you can get from Kelly. And those two different lines that you mentioned into turn one, we might see Lyon having a bit more of a adventurous, aggressive line, getting a benefit out of turn one.
And we heard from Gavin Kelly after the scuba race where he said that he got a bit fed up of staring at the back of Dave's car for the entirety of that race. So obviously he didn't want a repeat of that and went for the aggressive move and got the job done. Cut back to our leaders now. You see Mark has pulled out half a second from where they were previously. The gap now up to 1.4. Here they are looking down onto the final hairpin.
That's Dixon being lapped in the third car that we just saw there as well with his pit lane.
He's had a difficult few laps there.
It's unfortunate for Dixon.
And you can see that.
So at the moment, it looks like Miller's going to be the only one we've got a chance of stopping another Tranter victory this week.
Indeed, yeah. And we can see from these overhead shots just how much of a car park the infield section really is. It literally is a car park.
Literally a car park indeed, or a truck park as it looks like at this part of the track.
This track kind of reminds me of a box of Tic Tacs, and it's full of lots of little lifts. Lifting the throttle here and there to get the nose into the corners. Oh!
Oof. Winslade from Jones
Winslade
getting
and
a bit
Jones.
too close.
So that was kind of what happened with Lyon and Kelly, where the two lines were taken, but I don't think Jones was aware that Winslade was into the corner there.
And Winslade's really struggled around there.
Yeah, you can see he's
And
got
the
some damage on the
right-hander,
car.
he's lucky to keep Batty behind him then, wasn't he? But Batty's made his way through, and he's saying Winslade's going slow now. Is that a damaged car?
Let's see if he goes into the pits for a repair.
Jones feeling maybe fortunate to have escaped too much from that, with that quite a heavy impact it looked like.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Gary's carrying any damage from that. You can see Winslade's coming into the pits now, so he was obviously damaged. And there's the ledge going through there to take 9th place.
This is where it happened, and is Jones able to keep hanking behind him? Looks to be keeping a similar kind of pace so far. His last lap 56.9, best lap 56.0, so a bit of a whack might have cost him a bit of time, so hopefully Jones hasn't got too much damage, if any.
Yeah, let's hope so. And you can see there that Winslade's best lap was a 54.7, so he was obviously reeling him in before that contact. But that's racing. And Tony Hankin now on the attack on the oval on Gary Jones. See if he can make a move into T1. We'll cut back to our lead battle.
Miller's very close there. It's 3 tenths, 4 tenths down.
Yeah, did Mark make a mistake there? It'll be interesting to see if there's any replays of any incidents.
We almost touched onto the hairpin onto the oval then, and now he's fallen a little bit back, but Tranter's got a Mercedes in that rear view of his.
Well, that's that fabled concertina effect into a corner.
You see now that Miller's gained about a tenth on the oval, lost it again going through the corners, but like I say, concertina's a little bit. He's certainly not letting Tranter run away, is he?
He's not. But
And actually on there, Tranter going very wide there, and
Miller's got a slightly faster time than Trent around at his best, so maybe Miller has the pace, just needs to find somewhere to get past.
I think you need a fairly decent pace differential to get past someone. We're on board with Stephen Batty now, running in 7th place currently, and he's chasing down Tony Hankin, who, as we know, is... Well, in fact, both of those are now past Gary Jones, so Gary slipped back to 8th place.
Oh, Jones got a 59, almost a minute on his last lap, so must have had a mistake or a problem.
Let's hope we get a
replay of that.
Yeah. Oh, look at Batty controlling the oversteer coming out there.
So is Batty going to be in a faster car here with his mistake earlier, or is he finding himself exactly where the pace that he's got should get him? So his best lap 54.8, Hankin 54.9. Seems to be a bit of a split between the top 5 at the moment, doesn't there?
Yeah. It's hard to say, really, because it's such a... Oh, Winsley's had another mistake. And that's after his quick repair, so he won't want any more damage to that car. Let's hope it's just superficial. If there's anything on the running gear, he'd be forcing him into a retirement.
Is that Lyon just behind him?
It is. So
backed by Lyon.
We are focused on David Lyon. You can see he's got a bit of damage to the rear of his car. Imagine that would be from the Gavin Kelly shove into the hairpin.
Well, has anybody got away with not having an incident so far? It seems that the whole field has had at least one problem that they've dealt with, be it a spin or a bit of contact.
Yeah, I think everyone has, actually. We've seen... Well, maybe... Has Tony hit anyone? Not sure.
We can see now that Burnett's closed right up on Lyon as well. So it was Lyon and Kelly at the start of this race, but now Lyon has got Burnett for company, very close company, as he will want to quickly get past Winsley to hold on to 4th place.
Winsley presumably seeing blue flags here, and looks like he's letting them through now.
Lyon trying to get a bit of a slipstream on him.
Or maybe not.
Winsley goes out wide.
Like he didn't want to let him through, but he made a little mistake and decided to do it.
Oh, he's off the throttle now. So that frees up the race for 4th place then. So Burnett just behind Lyon, and Gavin Kelly is just... Is that Kelly with a spin? For this is a race for 3rd place now. Kelly snaps back on the track, keeps ahead of them, but has he got damage?
Wow, Kelly was miles away from the track. He must have been carrying an enormous amount of speed into T1.
So this has just got interesting with that final podium now, isn't it?
And there's Dixon behind as well. Sadly, it's Dixon and Winsley in one separate battle, and then these front 3 of Kelly, Lyon and Burnett all in one other battle.
Well, Kelly, Lyon and Burnett will be happy that they're in front of it all, so they can't get too impacted on that battle for 10th and last place.
Yeah, good
Burnett
point.
now we're on board with Burnett now as he's chasing Lyon down the oval. Kelly going to be feeling pressure that he wasn't feeling earlier after extending his lead on Lyon and looking quite solid in 3rd place. All of a sudden, that 3rd place and podium finish, not as much of a certainty.
Yeah, you can see how much speed they have to bleed off slowly through that long, long left-hander before they finally get to the apex. Oh, so close to the back of that car.
This is a great onboard just to see how technical this track is.
Now, can he get a better exit onto the oval here?
You see this vastly different lines that these drivers are taking.
Yeah, and
Batty going through the car park.
we just saw a glimpse of Gary. Oh, looks like, yeah. Now, Gary was behind Batty, so how did that happen?
We've got a few replays we're hopeful to get to see exactly what's happened with some of these incidents. Kelly with his spin, and now Batty and Jones, something's happened there.
Yeah, previous to that one, Batty and Tony Hankin got past Jones from when he was in 6th place. So back to the Lyon Burnett Kelly battle.
Whereas Winslade going off the track, it looked like then as well. Dixon's through, so was Winslade following Dixon. He took a bit of a wide line off the track.
Well
And you can see the difference on the pace now as well, can't you? Well, Winslade we've seen.
There's Dixon right the way back there with Tony lapping him.
It's a great aerial blimp camera here, so you can see so much of the track.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Unfortunately,
Kelly now extending his lead a little bit, isn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately for our entertainment, we Kelly is reasserting himself over Lyon and Burnett.
Well, it takes his one spin though, like we've seen, and it seems that none of the drivers are invincible to that at this very tight, twisty field track.
No one's immune.
Up front as well, Miller still keeping Tranter honest, and hopefully he's going to be looking to put some pressure on him, continue to put pressure on him.
Still under a second. Yeah. Be nice to see that back. I mean, it's such a shame that Gavin's now 17 seconds off that lead with Lyon and Burnett 20 and 21 seconds respectively. So, like you said before, definitely a two-horse race, this one. And look at the gap coming down now. It's 0.6. Looking back from David Lyon at Will Burnett into T1.
Well, Lyon will be wondering what he's done to have so much action behind him. He's had to fend off Kelly before Kelly made his way through quite forcefully, and now he's got Burnett for company, and Burnett might be thinking he could have a chance then. So Lyon's having a very busy race this week, just like last week.
And they had to be a little careful of that white line that we just saw Dave running on, because going over that will get you a slow down warning.
Lyon looks to be almost extending his lead here. Oh, we've got a cut here. Back on Lyon's.
It's almost like like his camera had gone in a crash. Relieved to see that they're both still running. The pink driver versus the pink car.
They are running very closely, these two, aren't they?
They are. And Gavin Kelly is now saying he's been lapped. What's going on?
Oh,
no!
Wow!
Burnett has spun
made
him.
Contact. You're quite right. Kelly's timing is very weird. Oh no, Lyon, has he got damage? He's spun it, trying to get back on the track there. And Winslade making his way through to unlap himself.
That's an opportunistic move. You see the damage he's had when he's hit the wall earlier. So replay to lap 12. On board with Winslade.
He takes a curb and there's a big impact into the barrier.
Yeah, just all on the wrong bits of the track. Throttle in the wall. Replay from lap 14 then. Batty and Hankin.
Well, Batty
really fighting the car there.
It really was.
And so there's Gary coming through.
That's how Jones got past.
This is going to queue up then the instant that these guys have when here's the replay of it. So Batty carrying so much more speed than Jones just clips his rear and
it reminds you of the incident with the ledge, just clipping the back corner of it.
Yeah. Maybe a little calm down to Batty there. So Kelly now showing in 10th place and down. Has he thought he must have retired?
Well, it looks like Burnett then, with his again forceful line through on Lyon, who's now in 5th place with Hankin up in 4th, has now got that podium position. Tranter going wide. Is this an opportunity now for Miller?
You're right, that gap is super tight now, 0.3 of a second. Here we go for the lead in T1 then.
Gary Jones with an excellent view in his mirror to watch the battle for the lead. Is he going to get out of the way?
Well, Gary was saying after last week that he was going to be ignoring all blue flags. So this could get interesting here. This could get very tight. It's a difficult enough track anyway without having to monitor a car.
Well,
Oh, from behind and in front.
yeah.
Rob really thought about it into the hairpin there. Thought
Trent will
better
be
of it.
screaming for Jones to get out of the way here. It's really impacting on
Oh, he's going for
his
into the
race.
hairpin. Look.
Jones lets one through and tries to almost do a cutback.
Ah, no, that's well done by Gary to actually let Rob through as well. I mean, it would get very bad very quickly if he hadn't let both through at the same time. And it would spoil the race as well for us, for our enjoyment. And we wouldn't want that.
Well, so Miller is still, both of them made it past. And maybe Trent wasn't going so wide. He's got a different line from Miller and the others. Clearly doing something right. And speaking of line, there's a line out the way, in the way, should I say.
Well, it was nearly a bag of money being passed from Miller to Lyon for taking out Tranter there. On board with Gary following these leaders. You see how carefully
Lightning reactions, that wasn't it, there, to get out the way. That's a shame for Lyon. It was third place possibly for him with Kelly's retirement. And
instead he's down sixth place.
Down.
And being hunted by Gary here. Gary's not out of this.
Well, this is for position, actually. Now you mention it, it's well spotted. Tranter and Miller are just really in a race of their own out front.
Yeah. They're taking it very differently to how they were before, which kind of hints that the tyres might have overheated or they're giving up somewhat. The cars, they're not attacking the track the same way as they were through the earlier part of the race, and we've only got a minute 40 to go. Oh, Lyon his tyres have gone. This is carrying some damage, but that's Gary Jones through to sixth place. What a tremendous result he's about to have.
Indeed, yes. Unfortunate for Lyon. He'd be hoping the checkered flag could have fallen halfway through it when he was so much further up. And like you say, he's had either tyres overheating or, well, we can see this is Burnett's way through.
I'm not even sure if Will hit him before Dave span. And look, he's trying to let him come back.
I did think Burnett wasn't getting away so well, so he did try and be a gentleman to let him past.
Yeah, well, fair play to you, Will. That was nice driving, mate.
So 53 seconds left now. I'll tell you what, this is how things end up, and I suspect Trent is going to be at least in the top two, and Miller's even fallen back a bit. That's a big shake-up in the championship for Kelly, who's going to not be able to lean on another result for his best 8 finishes.
Have you seen the ledge is closing in on David Lyon? Oh, he's followed about into the final hairpin. Oh, what's happened there? He's
thought about it a bit too much, unfortunately, and he's dropped it,
That's a big shame. That could have been a 7th place for the ledge. It would be a huge result for him. Under 10 seconds to go then. So this is the final lap of the race. Just a few corners to go for Mark Tranter. Can he get through this really tricky hairpin one final time? He can. This last hairpin's a lot easier. But with cold tyres, it's a bit of a spin trap. No problem.
I was looking through the times then, and I was wondering if anybody can make any positions, but everyone seems quite comfortable with a few seconds below. In fact, the battle for the lead looks to be the closest one we've got on track.
Yeah. But here we are then, crossing the line now. It's another win for Mark Tranter. Well done, Mark, with Rob Miller coming home in 2nd place, Will Burnett 3rd place, 4th for Tony Hankin, 5th Stephen Batty, 6th Gary Jones. What an achievement there. 7th David Lyon, 8th Lawrence Owen Jenkins, 9th Gareth Winslade, 10th was Gavin Kelly, and 11th was Paul Dixon.
Or is it? It looks like we've got the last lap graphic now. Has there been another issue that we saw previously? I don't see anybody changing positions now, but...
Well, that's very peculiar. It makes me look slightly foolish, cooling early, but...
Oh, it's understandable, but yeah, Trent has to navigate one more lap of this track to make a Another
It's almost a
victory for
mirror,
him.
though, of the lap before. Batty just up the road. Guys, that's him nearly lapping P5.
It's a dominant performance.
Yeah, and a
That
real
looks like
win
the
this
victory,
time.
yeah.
There he is. He's off the power. So Mark knows he's won at that time, and Rob trailing him home 1.4 seconds behind. That's not a big gap at all at the end of 25 minutes around this super tough and challenging track. So well done, Mark Tranter. What's that? Three races on the bounce now, or 4 races on the bounce? He's really put his mark on this championship now.
Yeah, second place on his first appearance in round 4, and now 4 wins in a row. That's a good result for Miller as well. It's equals his best finish of second place, and yeah, he looked almost faultless, really, didn't he?
He's had a few challenging races, and now he's finally getting some solid results, and it was a solid drive to second place. So Gavin Kelly 130 points, Mark Tranter 118, David Lyon in third, still 86, Rob Miller up to fourth on 80 points. But the best 5 results, Mark Tranter is actually on 118 points and Gavin Kelly 108.
Well, it's an interesting one, this format of the championship, isn't it? Gavin's under the cosh a little bit. That's a dreadful result for him, his worst of the season this week. Tranter and Kelly going for the title. It looks like advantage Tranter with the momentum at the moment.
Absolutely, advantage Tranter, yeah. So just some quotes from the drivers there from that race. The Ledge says that every time he caught up with someone, he would spin himself out. Gavin Kelly, he had the pace, but by the time he got past Dave, there was no way he could get close to Mark and Rob. So, his computer failed. That's why he was out of the race. So,
Mechanical failures exist in racing, don't they?
Exactly. So, Mark says he's glad to get rid of these roval courses, and Rob says he needs to practice his starts and that. See, that's interesting because Rob says that he thinks that Mark had a little bit more pace than him during the race, but I think that Rob had the better pace. Well, I wonder whether Rob's tyres were more cooked because of the dirty air. Running within a second of the car ahead for so many laps. Maybe that just cooked his tyres by the end of the race. So
it's entirely possible.
Yeah. Well, and an entertaining race, a difficult race for many of the field. Next time out, we're going to Silverstone and it's the historical Grand Prix track. So it's going to be the wide open spaces of Silverstone and lots of very, very fast corners, which I can't wait to watch.
I think Tranter's the only one who's going to be looking forward to get away from these rovals, is he?
No, I imagine the whole field will be. Well, Jim, I want to thank you once again for joining me in the virtual commentary box and calling this race. It's been an interesting one.
Oh, absolutely. It's been entertaining. It's been great. This has been, I think last week was maybe wasn't a boring race, but it certainly wasn't as action-packed as this one. So it's been good to see the Limit of Adhesion Championship back on its feet in its usual shocking and entertaining way.
Yeah, indeed. So for the Limit of Adhesion Radical Championship presented by Make Real Media, I'm Gareth. He was Jim. Thanks very much for watching.